What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to y'all as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share it, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. I appreciate your support in getting us this far, because without you guys, we wouldn't have more interviews. We wouldn't have more First and 15ths, and we wouldn't have more episodes of The Great Debaters and other things that we bring to you here on Unique Access Entertainment. Speaking of which, if you do really want to help and take us to the next level, you can hit that join button right next to subscribe. It's join. There's 3 different tiers there, and that also helps us in a lot of ways by helping us financially, so I can slide the people that help me some more money and help us keep growing. So yeah, if you feel so inclined, please subscribe for free, and please join by giving us a little bit of money every month. It goes a long way, believe me. Now, today on the 1st and 15th, this is a topic near and dear to my heart, and I've talked about the greatness of Eazy-E in many of my interviews. I've had the benefit and the fortune of interviewing so many artists that were on Ruthless Records, artists that worked with him directly, that were signed to him, etc. over the years. And as all these top 50 lists and all these other lists come out all the time, I think it's very important to mention Eazy-E because he just always seems to be overlooked. He seems to be like somebody that people forget about. If Dre thought they forgot about Dre, they really forget about Eazy-E. And that's what I want to do here on the 1st and 15th today, is talk about the brilliance of Eazy-E. Now, people could say what they want to say about his acumen, that he didn't write all of his lyrics, that he wasn't supposed to be a rapper, et cetera, but I think arguably Eazy-E is the most important businessman, record label owner in rap history. And that's what we're talking about today on the 1st and 15th, because if you look at this legacy of artists he had, it's remarkable. And then, of course, the family tree that comes from them. But, you know, we take it back, looking at Eazy-E really getting in the game with Boyz n the Hood and Supersonic, you know, back early at the beginning of Ruthless Records. And this just shows to me the brilliance of what Eazy-E was going to be able to do, which was straddle multiple worlds musically simultaneously and do it in such a way that helped redefine and reshape the genre. So on the one hand, you have Eazy-E and Boyz n the Hood. On the other hand, you have him, as I talk about with JJ Fad. You can check out the link right there during one of my interviews with them. But JJ Fad coming over to Ruthless from Dream Team Records, and then having the first gold record of Ruthless Records, the first gold record that Dr. Dre ever produced with the Supersonic remix, etc. But that really helped Ruthless Records get in the door, so that then when Eazy-E with Eazy-Duz-It and N.W.A with Straight Outta Compton came out, it was like, wow, there's 3 bona fide acts that are going gold and eventually platinum and multi-platinum here on this tiny little Ruthless Records label out of Compton, California, by a guy named Eric Wright, aka Eazy-E. So just right there, you have this entrepreneur that sees an opportunity with club, dance music, supersonic, up-tempo, females, all these things that are the antithesis or very different or diametrically different from N.W.A and what he ended up doing with his solo material. And he had tremendous success. So that gave Ruthless Records credibility in the business, and it helped open the floodgates on radio, video, and all these different things for the other Ruthless Records acts. And that's what I want to talk about, because there's so many of them, and even some of the ones that Eazy doesn't get a lot of credit for or that we don't acknowledge are extremely important. So early on, a lot of people forget that he had Bobby Jimmy and the Critters release some singles, the N.W.A. Rappers and the Phone Freak and the Weenie Whistlers. Now, these were just singles, and, you know, Dr. Dre and Russ Parr did the production on these, and these are, you know, cornerstone artists, I'd say, Bobby Jimmy and the Critters. I talked with Arabian Prince, another Ruthless Records alumni, but I talked with him about his work with Bobby Jimmy and the Critters there, which was instrumental because of a lot of the parody records. For those that remember, those were going on big back in the mid 1980s, and Bobby Jimmy and the Critters were among, if not the best, at doing that. And then Rappenstein also was Scream, which was produced by Dr. Dre, and Rappenstein is another less heralded, not as often discussed Ruthless Records single, but it happened and it took place. So we have JJ Fad, we have N.W.A, and we have Eazy-E really breaking through. And then, of course, Eazy-Duz-It comes out, is an amazing album. And then you have Straight Outta Compton, of course, what comes out. And there's the lineage of that from selling multi-millions of copies, from having Fuck the Police, from having the movie inspired by Straight Outta Compton, the title using the same title, on and on and on and on, that really kicks in the gangster rap movement times 10 to where it had been from people that have been doing it before Eazy-E and N.W.A, like Schoolie D, like Ice-T, Boogie Down Productions and such. N.W.A Hollywoodized it, as Schoolie D once told me during one of my many interviews and chats with him over the years. But bottom line is, N.W.A changed the game, Eazy-E changed the game, and Eazy-E was just getting started, because as Ruthless started to get all these different things going on, you have Michel'le. Now, of course, people want to say Mary J. Blige is the queen of rap and hip hop, queen of R&B, soul, etc. But Michel'le really did it first, and also was going gold and on all these big records. You know, she had N.W.A, No More Lies, and arguably the biggest song, if not definitely the biggest song, was Something in My Heart. And all these songs had videos. All these songs were big on their own. Something in My Heart was I'd say one of the big ballads of the late 80s and going into 1990. And that got major radio play, got major video play. And it showed Dr. Dre's early ability in this 1989 era to be able to do a super up-tempo song with Supersonic, to be able to do the comedic gangster funk side that he did with Eazy-E, and then with N.W.A and Straight Outta Compton to be able to do the also funk, but also much more aggressive, muscular, bomb squatty sound style throughout Straight Outta Compton. And then with Michel'le, blend rap and R&B with N.W.A and No More Lies, but then also go straight ballad, straight R&B, straight soul was Something in My Heart, also released on Ruthless Records. And to me, again, if this is all Eazy-E had done with these four artists, that would be a remarkable career. But of course, Eazy-E was just getting started, because one of the most crucial and critical people to the success of a lot of the artists we'll be discussing today, but then also just in rap history, is the D.O.C. Recently, I had the benefit of being able to interview him. There's the link to my first part of my interview with D.O.C, which definitely check that out if you haven't already. But the D.O.C comes with No One Can Do It Better. I, of course, knew him from Parental Discretion is Advised from Straight Outta Compton. Then he comes with No One Can Do It Better. And unlike N.W.A, unlike Eazy-E, who he wrote and collaborated with, D.O.C wasn't really cussing. It was all about lyricism. It was like he was a Texas Rakim, a Texas wordsmith that was just destroying it and lethal on the mic, but produced by Dr. Dre, and also on Ruthless Records, also going gold and platinum. And this just showed the diversity of what Ruthless had and what Eazy-E was doing, which to me is remarkable, because at a time in this 1989-ish era, you know, JJ Fad, N.W.A, Eazy-E, Michel'le, the D.O.C. Right there, that's a whole urban, what would be labeled urban music roster that has R&B. You got female rap / commercial rap with JJ Fad. You got super hardcore gangster rap. You got lyricist. And then with Eazy-E, you got kind of the hip hop thugster with the sprinkle of comedy. So very diverse artists. And it just showed that Eazy-E and the team that he had around him was excellent at putting out these amazing records. Dr. Dre, of course, gets a lot of credit for that. Jerry Heller knew what he was doing business-wise. And then when you add in Ice Cube, MC Ren, DJ Yella, D.O.C, JJ Fad, Michel'le, these are some of the best at what they do. And they're all able to bring this to the table artistically and creatively to help the business moves that Eazy and Jerry Heller and the other people involved at Party Records, at Atlantic Records, and at Atco Records for the different artists. You know, that just showed me and told me like, man, they're really making it happen. And if you notice too, Eazy-E was able to put his artists on different labels, which not only was unprecedented, but also made me believe like, man, this guy knows how to not put too many eggs in one basket, to where everybody's not on Atco like JJ Fad was, or everybody's not on Priority like Eazy-E and N.W.A were, but they were still making all these major moves with all these different companies. And the next group up continued that, Above the Law being on Epic Records and Ruthless. And of course, I'm good friends with Big Hutch, aka Code 187. Here's one of my interviews with him. You know, been friends with him since the 90s and always have such love and admiration for him and what he's contributed to the game. And Above the Law really showed this Black political player street side that, especially on the West Coast, we haven't seen, but I think in rap we hadn't seen. And then, of course, through Living Like Hustlers, but really once we get to Vocally Pimpin' and Black Mafia Life, laying the foundation for G-Funk, call it what you want, but that's really what happened. And, you know, that's all remarkable and amazing. And I don't really know the full story of what I'm about to say, but it was always very intriguing. And I've asked Schoolie D about this, but then you have Eazy-E going totally left field and doing a deal with Terry B on Comptown Records through Capitol, and Schoolie D produced on the album. The creator Gangster Rap, Eazy-E, is on that as well, and she was signed to Eazy-E, working with Dr. Dre, QD3, working with Schoolie D, all these amazing artists. And Terry B's this white female rapper that's coming out sounding super hard and flowing. And right there, I was like, Eazy-E, man, he's got all these different artists, all this different talent, and is really showing and proving that this is how it should be done and doing it. And, you know, it's amazing. Now, Tide, one of the great things that Eazy-E was able to do was from the N.W.A tree, you know, you get an Eazy-E solo album. Even though he wasn't in the N.W.A, he worked with, collaborated with N.W.A, which is the D.O.C. And now from Above the Law, we get the Who Am I, who is AKA much later known and much more famously known as Cocaine. And he was also on Epic Records like Above the Law was. And Cocaine, who of course has been on the show many times. And here's a link to the Cocaine, one of our interviews, and shout out to him as always, much love to him. But Cocaine was another artist that was, you know, very, very funk inspired and very different, even from Above the Law, Big Hutch being Code 187 being his cousin. But they brought another different type of music and mentality and sonic stuff, that what was going on with Ruthless. And this was just remarkable. You even get a Jimmy Z record around this time with Musical Madness. And then we get Yomo and Malky, Are You Experienced? And I did some great interviews with Yomo. If you haven't checked those out, please do. But again, this is all happening, and all through 1991, we're dealing with Arabian Prince leaving up to this point. We're dealing with Ice Cube leaving up to this point. We're dealing with N.W.A having amazing success with 100 Miles and Running, and then the Brothers for Life album. All this is happening in 91. And then as other things started happening, as Dre starts leaving and different things, we get Ruthless coming with Po, Broke, and Lonely. And another friend of the channel, Krista Glove Taylor, is on there, and all through that. And also in 92, we get the Penthouse Players Click, and shout out to both Player Ham and Tweed Cadillac for Paid the Cost, an amazing project. And that, you know, you got the combination, which I really hoped and wished we got a lot more of, which Player Ham told me in our sit down, that was somewhat of Eazy-E's plan with Dre's departure, was to get DJ Quick involved with Ruthless on the production side, and much more with doing different things with the label. And Penthouse Players Click was a phenomenal first entry to be able to do that. And that, I was just like, man, it would be almost unbelievable for a label to be able to sustain losing the best producer of all time and one of, if not the best rapper of all time with Ice Cube, and still keep it moving, man, like they did with Penthouse Players Click. And then of course we have MC Ren also in 92 with the Kiss My Black Ass EP, showing and proving that MC Ren Also, not having the ability to work with Dre at that point, which to me is one of the biggest travesties that we never got an MC Ren album produced by Dr. Dre. But we got Bobcat, we got DJ Train, we got a lot of great stuff that MC Ren had early on. And then later, MC Ren works a lot with Cole 187 on the production side of things, keeping it ruthless and keeping it in-house in a lot of ways. So all through this, so we've got from basically 86, 87, all the way up to 92 already. And look at this diversity of the artists, different sounds, different styles, male, female, black, white, all kinds of rap, and keeping it even more dramatic and diverse. We get to the Blood of Abraham with the Future Prophets. Eazy-E starts putting out EPs again with a wide range of producers with the 5150 and the It's On, Dr. Dre, 187, I'm Killer. But now we start getting into some of the less heralded Ruthless Records acts. But again, it's more the fact that Eazy had all these artists and was putting them out and was doing big things with them, even if they all weren't going gold and platinum at this point, because Eazy had shown that he had an eye and an ear for talent, for attracting attention, and of course with controversy with groups like N.W.A, Michel'le, and then he's branched out by getting Pistol, branched out by getting Brownside. Stefan was on the label. So it's just all these different things that Eazy was doing and showing that not only do I have a steady release of artists, but that I can do it at this super high level. At this point, he was through Sony Red and Relativity, and that's where we get, drumroll please, Bone Thugs-N-Harmony out in 1994. Creeping on a come up, basically really helped change the rap landscape, because I went to college at Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio. I remember when Thuggish Ruggish Bone came out, I was at campus, and the first time I heard the song and then started hearing it, it was at almost every party I went to. Almost everywhere I was going, people were playing Thuggish Ruggish Bone like it was the biggest song ever. And regardless of what you think of Bone's music, I happen to love them and think they're one of the best rap groups of all time. Bone actually sold way more records than anyone else on Ruthless, and that includes obviously N.W.A. But the point is that someone like Eazy-E was able to totally change the game with two huge selling artists, himself and N.W.A, and then nearly a decade later was able to then come out with an artist that was even bigger than N.W.A sales-wise. Of course, I'm talking strictly sales-wise, but they were more popular than N.W.A. They sold more records. They had more albums. They had more solo albums because the artists, were just churning them out. Once Bone, got on top of the game, DJ Unique was an amazing and remains an amazing producer and helped get them at the top of the game, man. And that is just a testament to Eazy-E and his vision. And speaking of which, one of the last notable things that Eazy-E signed and got behind was the Atban Clan, which most people, of course, know was the early incarnation of the Black Eyed Peas. So Eazy-E signed himself. He got JJ Fad, he got N.W.A, he had the D.O.C, Michel'le, Above the Law, Bone Thugs-N-Harmony, and essentially the Black Eyed Peas, as well as sprinkle in MC Ren and Cocaine as well, among many, many others that I mentioned today. But when you think about that and you think about the longevity of that, and that in 1987, when the label really started making major noise, rap was still a singles business. It wasn't until 1988 and 87, really in 89, when albums became a thing, and Ruthless was one of the reasons that was really able to flourish, because JJ Fad's album, Supersonic, the album, did extremely well. Eazy-Duz-It was multi-platinum by Eazy-E. Straight Outta Compton was multi-platinum by N.W.A. So opening the floodgates with that, and then following that up with Michel'le and the D.O.C and Above the Law, all having tremendous success in their own right. It's a lot going on, man. So as I think about all these different things that I want to bring you here on the 1st and 15th, the reason that Eazy-E is so important is that he's not given his due I've talked with DJ Speed about this and Cocaine and others, including Code 187. But man, I want to do a Eazy-E movie, an Eazy-E documentary, because I think he's arguably the most important person in the history of the business of rap in particular, and maybe rap period, because of what his label and the legacy of the artists that he released were able to do, and who they're tied to, whether that's Snoop Dogg, whether that's Eminem, whether that's 50 Cent, even on down to Kendrick Lamar. I mean, it's just remarkable. And then you got someone like Dr. Dre producing for all the people he's produced, including Mary J. Blige. So it's a robust family tree. And for those reasons, I wanted to make sure to highlight Eazy-E on this episode of the 1st and 15th, because he doesn't get enough credit. He doesn't get enough shine. And sadly, as I talked about in my book, The History of Gangster Rap, Code 187 believes Eazy doesn't have more respect in some ways because, you know, he died due to complications from AIDS. He didn't die in a shootout. He didn't die because of beef. And sadly, according to Code 187, as he talks about in The History of Gangster Rap, you know, he didn't die a heroic death or in the streets or doing something like that. He died from something at the time, 1995, that was still very mysterious and was unclear, and it was a lot of secrecy and misinformation going on surrounding HIV and AIDS. And since Eazy-E died that way, it probably hurt him a little bit on his legacy as well, which is why I wanted to highlight this legacy, which is rich, robust, and full of game-changing landmark artists, albums, and music. So that's what I wanted to do here on the 1st and 15th. As always, please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share it, you know, tell a friend if they haven't already. Please subscribe. It's free. And if you haven't already, please join. We got the 3 tiers there, ways you could help us. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see Unique Access keep growing. We got a lot of initiatives that we're in development and discussing now to bring to you. So thank you for helping make all this possible. Really appreciate your support. I'm Soren Baker. Check us out, 1st and 15th, Unique Access Entertainment.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Your MTV Raps with N.W.A.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the street. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.